Welcome to Math with Mr. P. Today we're going to be doing Chapter 2, Lesson 7. What we're going to be learning today is to estimate percentages using compatible numbers and equivalent ratios. What today's lesson is going to be really focused on is percentages of certain numbers. So for example, if we were to try to find percentages out of a given number, how could we do that? So like say I need to know what 25% of 63 is. How would we be able to solve this? This is what we're going to be dealing with today, how to solve these types of problems. Let's start with our real-world link. In a survey, 200 students chose their favorite snacks. Use the table to find the number of students who chose each snack. So, for example, fruit was 23%. Meaning 23 out of every 100 students in the fraction part chose it. But since 200 students voted, we doubled the 100 to 200. We doubled the 23 to 46. So 46 out of 200 students chose fruit. Now we're going to do the rest of this. Cheese was 15%, which means 15 out of 100 chose cheese. Double that, since there was 200 students, would be 30. So 30 students out of the 200 chose cheese. And we will continue on. Veggies, 17%, so it's 17 out of 100, which will actually double to 34. So 34 students chose it. 15% again, so 30 again. 30 students once more. And chips was 18%, so 18 out of 100 students chose it. But because 200 students did, we double it, which would make this 36. And last but not least, 12 students out of 100, 12%, which means 24 students picked it, which means 24 students out of 100. Now, assuming the next question asks you which one is the most popular decision, it's going to be fruit. Fruit had 46 kids choose it, aka 23%. So let's move on. Add the numbers of responses in the last column to make sure they add up to 200. So let's do that with our calculator, just to save time. 46 plus 30 plus 34 plus 30 again plus 36 plus 24 should equal 200, and it does. Therefore, we did our math right. These are the number of students that chose what snack, so we're good. How does finding the percent as a rate per 100 help you find the number of responses out of 200? So going back to what we did, we had our percentages first, which are right here. These are our percentages. It's the number of percent per student that chose what snack. In order to change it out of 200, we just put it over 100 because percentages are out of 100. And then we doubled it to make it out of 200 since 200 kids were surveyed. Sometimes this will be easy, but what happens if like 17 kids were surveyed? We couldn't change that really quickly, could we? So in this case, it was easy because we could just convert the 100 to be 200 and so on. We just couldn't convert the top, we just converted the top number to be doubled as well, since that's what we did. We multiplied 100 by 2 to make 200. If we had surveyed 204 students, for example, this wouldn't be an easy conversion. So we're going to actually talk about finding the percents of numbers. So, for example, refer to the circle graph. So this is our circle graph with percentages. It's a different kind of circle graph because now they are surveying 300 students at York Middle School. Find the number of students that have cheese as a snack. So cheese is right here at 15%. You can easily make it 15 out of 100. And then knowing that 300 students were surveyed, you can just multiply these both by 3, which will make this 45 out of 300. 45 students picked cheese. So we did 15 out of 100, or we could have done 3/20ths. If you did 3/20ths of 300, or 3 times 20 times 345, either way this would have worked. Let me show you this way, though, in a lot easier detail, because that is a little confusing. So we're going to go ahead and go to our handy-dandy whiteboard. We'll come back to this question later. So 15% of 300. How could I solve this? Now, I taught you guys that you could have put 15 over 100 and then converted it to have 300 as the denominator, meaning we multiply it by 3, and that would have been our answer. Sometimes we're not going to have that easy road to take. It's not going to be that easy. What this book proposed is to make 15% 15 out of 100 and then simplify it. If we divided both of these numbers by 5, this would become 3 over 20. Now what I would do is multiply 3/20ths by 300. Three over 20 times 300, I would have to put the 300 over 1. I would then get, 3 over 20. I would get 6. Oh, no, I wouldn't. I messed up. I would get 900 divided by 20. As I multiply straight across, 3 times 300 would be 900. 20 times 1 would be 20. And then I'd have to divide. 20 would go into 90 4 times. That would be 80. When I subtract it, I only have 10 left over. 20 cannot go into 10, bring down that extra 0. 20 would go into 100 5 times. That would be exactly 100. And there is my 45. So this is an easy way to find out a percentage of a number. Now, I probably lost you guys, so let's go back to our original problem. 25% of 63. Now, 63 is not a number I can easily change and convert, right? So 25% of 63. I know 25% can also be written as 1/4. Now, to find out what it is out of 63, I'm just going to put 63 over 1 and multiply straight across. 1 times 63 will be 63. 4 times 1 will be 4. This will become 63 divided by 4. 4 can go into 6 once. That'll be 4. That'll leave me 2 left over. I'm going to bring down the 3. 4 can go into 23 5 times. That'll be 20. And then I'll get 3 left over. Now I'm going to end up with a decimal because 4 cannot go into 3 decimal. 4 will go into 30, 6, 7 times. That'll be 28. When I subtract, I'll get 2 left over. Bring down a 0. That'll go in 5 times. And that's it. So 25% of 63 is 15.75. And that's 25% of 63. So let's recap. When I try to find a percentage of a number, I'm going to put whatever the percentage is as a fraction. So let's say I'm trying to find 30% of, let's say 90. 30% of 90. I'm going to change the 30% into a fraction. Now I know it's going to be 30 out of 100, and I can simplify this down to 3/10. It'll be 3 over 10. I'm going to take that 3 over 10 and I'm going to multiply it by my original number, which is 90. This will give me 3 times 9, I know is 27 with the annex of 0, over 10. Because 3 times 90 will be 270, and 10 times 1 will be 10. This fraction will just be numerator divided by denominator. 270 divided by 10. Now, we all know what happens when we divide by 10. We just take the 0 at the end off if there's a 0, so it'll just be 27. If we're not sure, watch. 10 will go into 27 twice. That'll be 20. When I subtract, I have 7. Bring that down. 10 will go into 70 7 times. That's it. So 30% of 90 will equal 27. And that's how we can find a percentage of a number. Let's continue on. Write the percent as a decimal. Oh, and that was method 1, which is what we did. Method 2 is to write the percent as a decimal. So instead of doing 15%, we do 0.15, because remember, from a percentage to a decimal over here, 1, 2 to the left, so it'd be 0.15, and then we'd multiply that by our original number. And if we multiply that by 300, we would still get 45. And if we're not sure, let's double check. 0.15 times 300 will give us 45. So either method is fine. Let me teach you another way. So if I were to do 30% of 90 again, we got 27 as our answer. Let's do this decimal-wise instead. This would be 90 times 0.3. 3 times 0 would be 0. 3 times 9 would be 27. Annex is 0. 0 times 0 is 0. 0 times 9 is 0. Add them together. 0, 2, 7. One number after a decimal. I'd still end up with 27. So either one of these methods is fine. You can use the decimal, turn the percentage into a decimal, or do the fractions when you multiply straight across type thing. Either one of those would be fine. Find the number of students at York Middle School that have chips as a snack. So let's focus on this one. Chips is 18%. We know that 300 students were surveyed, so we're going to find 18% of 300. Now, in order to do this, you can do two things. One, put 18% as a fraction and simplify and multiply across, or we can do the decimal one. I'm going to do the decimal one on this one. So 18% would become 0.18, and I'm going to multiply that by 300. This will give me the number. 8 times 0 will be 0. 8 times 0 again will be 0. 8 times 3 will be 24. Annex is 0. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 0 again is 0. 1 times 3 will be 3. Annex 2 zeros. 0 times 0, 0 times 0, 0 times 3 is still 0. Add them all together. 3 zeros added will be 0. 3 zeros added will be 0. A 0 and a 0 will be 4. 2, 3, 0 will be 5, and 0 by itself. Two numbers after a decimal. 1, 2. My answer should be 54. 18% of 300 should be 54. Now, let's do the fraction method. This would be 18 over 100 as a percentage. I'm going to divide both of these by 2. That would give me 9 over 50. And none of these will have any common denominator, so I'm going to multiply it by 300. And I'm going to put the 300 over 1. This will make this 2,700 divided by 50. I can drop the 2 zeros. So this would be 270 divided by 5. 5 would go into 27 5 times. That'd be 25. I'd have 2 left over, bring down the 0. 5 would go into 24 times. That would be 20. And 54 is still our answer. Now, for those that are confused, I drop the zeros here because if I divide these both by 10 to simplify, it's going to be 270 over 5 because these zeros will go away. That's why I chopped off the zeros. You could simplify it more if you wanted, but 270 divided by 5 is easy enough, and I still got the exact same answer that I did over here. And that's pretty much, oh no, it's not, lies. Percent's greater than 100% and percent's less than 1%. After this will be the last thing. So what happens if we're finding a percentage of a number and that percentage is more than what is 100% or less than 1%? So to find 145% of 320, what we would do is this. We would put 145 over 100. We would simplify it down to 29 over 20. We would still multiply straight across, and we would end up with 464. It's still the same type of thing. We're just going to end up with a different number. We could even make 145 into a decimal. 1, 2. So you'd be multiplying 320 by 1.45 instead. 320 times 1.45 should give you 464, which is exactly what we have down here. So I would suggest doing the decimal way because it's a lot easier. You'd still have to show your work, so we wouldn't just plug it into a calculator. I would still multiply 5 by 0 would be 0, 5 times 2 would be 10, carry this over, 16, and then so on until we got our answer. But at the same time, if your brain works better with fractions, do the fraction thing. Just slap it over 100, simplify it down as much as you can, take that simplified number and multiply it by 320, but put it over 1, so you're multiplying across 29 times 320 over 20 times 1, which will be 20. You'll still get this number here. All these cross-simplifying things are just very confusing, and they haven't taught you how to do this yet, and I don't want to get into it because you guys are going to, it's just a lot, so the decimal way would be the easiest way to do it. And again, this isn't finished. So let's do an example. Find 220% of 65. (220% of 65). I'm going to use the decimal method because all I'm going to do is 65 times 2.20. And again, you put the longer number on top. 5 times 0 will be 0. 5 times 2 will be 10. Carry the 1. 5 times 2 again will be 10, plus the 1 will make 11. Placeholder 0. I'm going to ignore this 1 I carried over. 6 times 0 is 0. 6 times 2 will be 12. Carry the 1. 6 times 2 again is 12, plus the 1 is 13. And we add 0, 0, 0, 0, 3, 2 will be, or 1, 2 will be 3, 1, 3 will be 4, 1 plus nothing is by itself. Two numbers after a decimal. My answer should be 143. I'm going to double guess, or I'm going to go double check my work. So 220, 2.20 times 65 should be 143, and that's what I got. Now, if you wanted to do it this way, again, you could have done it this way. I could have chopped off those zeros to make it 22 out of 10, divided both by 2, so that would make it 11 out of 5. 22 of 65% would be 11 over 5 times 65, and you would typically put it over 1. I don't like this cross-simplifying thing. If you want to know what it would be, is you divide this number by 5 and this number by 5. This would become 1, and I believe 5. That would become 13. And then we just multiply 11 times 13. So it'd be 11 times 13. Divide by the common denominator. And then 11 times 13 should equal 143. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 1 is 1. Placeholder 0. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 1 is 1. 3 plus 0 is 3. 1 plus 3 is 4. 1 plus nothing is 1. 143 is my answer, which is exactly what I had before. So you could do it this way too if you want. I like the decimal way better, but it's up to you. And then the exact same thing will happen when you have a less than 1% thing. Clearly, you're not going to be able to do this as fractions at all because you can't put 0.25 over 100. So this is where the decimal thing is going to come into play. 0.25% of 58. .25% of 58. Again, decimal to percent will be, or percent to decimal will be 2 times to the left. So this will make it 0.0025 times 58 to find out what that is. 8 times 5 is 40. Carry the 4. 8 times 2 is 16. Plus the 4 will be 20. 8 times 0 will be 0. Plus the 2 will be 2. 8 times 0 again, and 8 times 0 again. Placeholder 0. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 2 is 10. Plus the 2 will be 12. 5 times 0 plus 1 will be 1. 5 times 0, 5 times 0. 0, 5, 2, 1, 0, 0. 4 numbers after a decimal. 1, 2, 3, 4. My answer will be 0.125, and then the 0 at the end fades off. So let's check. 0.0025 times 58 equals 0.145, which is not what I got. Where did I make a... Oh, I see where I made a mistake. Right here. I added 2 2s and I said it was 2. It's not 2, it's 4. So 145. See, even teachers make mistakes, which is why we double check our work with our calculator. So yeah, if I had done this as a test and didn't check my work and just left this as my answer, I would have got it wrong. It is 0.145. So I'm glad I double checked my work. But that's it for this lesson. I know that's a lot, and I know we went through it pretty quickly today. If you have any questions, please make sure you bring them to class or leave them in the comment section. We will be working on this before fall break for those of us that are in my class, for those that are watching online, either in the future or that are not in my class, unfortunately. Have a good Halloween if I don't see you before then. But yes, this has been Math with Mr. P. This is Chapter 2, Lesson 7, Percent of a Number. As always, I will catch you on the next one.